So this haircut is by request. It is from Dan McSee, and he requested just a variation of Emma Willis, who is a presenter from UK, and she presents like The Voice and Big Brother and whatnot. So this is kind of my version of that haircut. So the way I started this haircut was I did section off the roof like I usually do, and then I took kind of a V section from the top down to the outside corner of the eyebrows, and then I took two little panels that went right over that main floor, and that's going to be a little bit of weight underneath because I am going to cut kind of like rounded graduation, finger thick. There we go. That's a good little view of that. And this haircut is done live at Market Street Barbers. Okay, so here I am. I'm going to do diagonal back partings, finger thick, and I'm just going to cut palm to palm. And it's diagonal back. My fingers are going to mimic the section I'm taking. And I'm just going diagonal back all the way back to over the ear. Let's slow that down just a little bit so you can kind of see the sectioning I'm taking. There was Roy J. White just walking past. Cleaning up around the ear a little bit. I like to clean as I go. Here we are behind the ear. Taking a little sewing machine effect as I cut. Using a 4.5 pair of Hattori Hanzo Mambas. Maintaining that same diagonal back parting as I work. Now, as I go through the back, you're going to notice that I'm going to, just for fun, I'm going to make that a stationary guide. And that's going to become, kind of a wedge type feeling. As opposed to like round graduation that gives you kind of like a firefly type effect. This one is going to give you kind of like a wedge type feeling. So it's going to get a little heavier towards her occipital, which I actually kind of wanted. I wanted it to be open her face a little bit in the front, and then I wanted to build her occipital a little bit in the back. So she has kind of a little bit of a weaker crown, so I wanted to just build that up a little bit for her. So I'm going to do that with this stationary guide right behind the ear on both sides. That's just going to kind of build that graduation. And moving on to the other side, again, a diagonal back parting. Very little tension in my left hand, my holding hand. And then just taking clean, partings as I work towards the back so I can see through it. Again, diagonal back partings. And you're going to notice here that I'm going to move her like you would with a round graduation. I am going to move her so I'm standing directly in front of what I'm cutting until I get right behind, the ear. And then I'm going to stop. And I'm just going to pull everything right into that one stationary guide that I've cut. Cleaning up just a little bit over the ear. Now, actually, now what I'm doing now is I've dropped that little panel above the roof. And I'm just going to take right in the comb to create kind of a line. I want kind of a heavy line, and that's going to give her the tuck option, that nice little tuck option. So, when she wants to brush it back a little bit, she'll have a little bit of an overhang. So the hair underneath will be like finger thick, but then she has this little overhang that'll tuck really nicely behind her ear, almost like a headband. So now I'm at finger thick elevation, and I'm going to follow the same graduation that I created. You can really see it with that light. I'm going to follow the same graduation, just right at the top of it, kind of highlighting the graduation. Bring all of that panel down and cut. So slow it a little bit down on this side, just so you can see a much better angle. Again, taking a finger thick parting, combing it out of the way, giving it a little bit of a twirl and a twist, and a clip. Then I'm going to cut in the comb. So scissor under comb. I'm zero tension. I'm using the wide tooth of the comb. I'm just going to follow her hairline, and I'm going to cut. And that's going to give me, like I said, like a line or like a weight line. And that weight line will be able to tuck right behind her ear really nicely and stay back for her if she wants. She's a lawyer, so she likes her hair really short, which is really kind of refreshing. Um, but also I wanted her to be able to like tuck her hair back if she's, working or whatnot, doing paperwork, and then, when she's out or whatnot, she could leave it down and kind of a sexy kind of a look. Now finger thick and cut. Dropping my elbow, totally screwed up on that one, didn't I? There we go. That looks a little bit nicer. It's very important to wear baseball caps when cutting hair. Okay, here we are through the top. What we're going to do is we're going to cut on the bias. So I'm going to comb all of the hair over to a stationary guide on her left-hand side, just above her indentation. And I'm going to find the longest piece is going to be in the crotch of my fingers, and the shortest piece is going to be in the fingertip. And I'm just going to cut short to long. And what that's going to do for me is it's going to allow that hair to move and to flow either direction. If you think of cutting hair on the bias or cutting fabric on the bias, it's going to do the same thing. And I'm going to maintain that same position or that same stationary guide right at indentation. So I'm going to take hair in front of that, a finger thick parting, pull it all the way back, and cut what doesn't reach that guide. So anything that's longer than the guide, I'll cut. There we are. So pulling everything to that guide. And what it's going to do is it's going to create kind of like an arch or like a peak in the front or on top of the hair, rather. And it's going to be, like I said, she'll be able to wear it, with multiple personalities. So she can wear it to her right or her left-hand side, just depending on what she's wanting. There we are. And cut. I'm going to do the same thing in the back. So I'm going to take that same center parting, and instead of pulling into the center parting, I'm now going to push because I want to maintain that same finger angle and elbow position. So there I am right there. That's a really good view. And you'll see that I'll take a little section from behind it and I'm going to push it real good, like salt and pepper, into the previous section or guide. There we are. And cut. And you notice that my last combing will always be the hair that's about to be cut, not the hair that was just cut. So I'm not combing the guide last. I'm combing the hair that's about to be cut. So here we are on the opposite side. I'm standing in front of her now, taking what is the longest piece is going to be in the crotch of my fingers. The shortest piece is going to be at the fingertips. I'm now going to push it real good in the front, going back to that stationary guide and cut. And all the hair goes into that stationary guide from the front. Okay, now let's go ahead. I dried her up a little bit, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back in the same sectioning or the same partings, but now I'm going to use my 13 T's, and I'm going to do what I call slap cutting. And what that allows me to do is it allows me to go a little deeper than deep parallel point cutting. I open my blades and I close them on the way out. And what that does is it point cuts for me. And I am using a texturizing shear, so that's going to maintain or save some of that hair there for me. So here I am. I'm going to cut only the parts that are thick. I'm not going to cut the thin parts. So I'm focusing on what I'm doing. I don't want to destroy my line. I want to maintain my line, but I just want to like open it up or kind of fan out the hair as opposed to keep all the hair bunched up, if that makes sense. So there we are, pulling it all back to the exact same parting that I was when I was cutting my bias, but now I'm just going to texturize it as opposed to cut it with a straight scissor. I'm going to do it on both sides of the hair as well. So here I am on the opposite side. There's my really pretty line, and I'm just going to break up that line. Again, I don't want to destroy the line. I want to maintain the line. I just want to open it up so I can see through it. I kind of explain it almost like recoloring that line. You know, if everything is like dark, I want to make it all lighter. I wish I knew what I was talking about right there. I'm really talking a lot. Nobody's probably listening. And I like to use my 14Ts right around the edges of the hair. So like I like to clean up like right above her eye, and that just is gonna like make that hairline nice and soft and buttery. It's not gonna make like a hard line. It's a lot softer line. You know, kind of almost like it was chewed off or ripped off. Here I am just cleaning up under that little overhang. You can really see that ledge that if she wants to tuck it back, it'll tuck back nicely behind her ear. I like to part it on both sides just so I can see what it's going to look like for her. She likes to have that multiple personality of being able to, you know, comb her hair either direction. There we are. There's a 360-degree version of it. If you like this haircut, please share. And if you have any requests, I do take requests.